Kumusta na kayo mga mahal kong mag-aaral? Narito na naman muli ang Matalas Channel through Sir Absolon at kayo ay aking binabati para sa isa na namang makabuluhang pagtalakay sa mga lesson na may kinalaman sa mga araling pang-matematika. So ano pa ang hinihintay natin? Let's go! So tapos na tayo sa mga iba't ibang lesson ng radical expression katulad ng simplifying radicals, addition and subtraction of radicals, multiplication of radicals, and then division of radicals. So ito ay tamang-tamang pagkakataon para atin na pong pag-aaralan kung paano mag-solve ng radical equation. So an example of radical equation ay ito pong makikita nyo dito, that is the nth root of ax plus b is equal to c, wherein again the small letter n is the index of root and yung mga terms inside the radical is called the radicand. So ready na ba kayo mga anak? Okay, so let's proceed. Therefore, after the end of this lesson, you are then expected to be able to solve radical equation. Did you get it, my dear student? Let's proceed to example number 1. Example number 1 is the square root of 5 minus x minus 3 equals 0. So this problem contains only one radical. So how do we solve it? So the first step is to isolate the radical. So how do we isolate the radical? By addition property of equality, we are going to add positive 3 on both sides so that negative 3 will be moved to the right side. Then after which, step 2 is square both sides. Okay, so we're going to square both sides upang sa ganon maaalis natin yung radical sign. And then after removing the radical sign in the left side, then we are now ready to solve for x. And to solve for x, of course, we are going to isolate the negative x in the left side. And we are going to move all the constant term in the right side. Again, by addition property of equality, we are going to add negative 5 once more in both sides of the equation. So after doing that, so it will become negative x is equal to 4. And then dividing both sides by negative 1, so that is equivalent to x is equal to negative 4. So therefore, the value of x is negative 4. After getting the value of x, so we should not forget to check if our answer is correct. How can we check the solution? So you simply replace the value of x in the original equation, and that is negative 4. So therefore, it will become the square root of negative 5 minus the value of x, which is negative 4 minus 3 equals 0. And then simplifying it, so we have negative 5 minus negative 4, it will become positive 9 minus 3 is equal to 0. And then getting the square root of 9, that is 3 minus 3 equals 0. So 0 equivalent to 0. So therefore, the answer is correct. So para mas inspirado si Sir na magagawa ng mga bagong videos para sa inyo mga anak, pwede ba paki-smash na lang yung notification bell? And then like and share, and ang pinaka-importante sa lahat, your subscription. Thank you very much. In example number 2, so we have two radicals in this equation. So if we have two radicals, then we are going to isolate the radicals on both sides of the equation. And then after isolating by using the addition property of equality, then we will proceed now to step 2, so that is squaring both sides so that we can now remove the radicals. And then after which we are going to form an equation that is equating to 0. Since we have here a quadratic equation, so we can solve any of the process on how to solve quadratic equation. But this time we use factoring. And the factor of x squared minus x minus 6 equals 0, or x plus 2, or the quantity x plus 2 times the quantity x minus 3 equals 0. And then by using the zero product property to finally solve for x, so that is x is equal to negative 2, and for the other factor, so that is x minus 3 equals 0, so therefore x is equivalent to positive 3. So for the checking, we are going to use the value of x, which is negative 2. That is the quantity negative 2 raised to 2 minus 2, and minus the quantity negative 2 plus 4 is equivalent to 0. Then negative 2 squared is equivalent to 4. Bring down negative 2 minus the square root of negative 2 equals 0. Then 4 minus 2 is equivalent to square root of 2 minus the square root of 2 is equal to 0. So therefore 0 is equivalent to 0. So for the checking of the second value of x, which is equal to positive 3, so we are going to replace also in the equation, so that is the quantity 3 raised to 2 minus 2 minus the square root of 3 plus 4 is equivalent to 0. Then 3 squared is equivalent to 9 minus 2 minus 3 plus 4 is equivalent to the square root of 7 is equivalent to 0. Then 9 minus 2 is equivalent to 7, so that is equivalent to square root of 7. Bring down negative square root of 7 is equivalent to 0. So again, 0 is equal to 0. So nandito na tayo sa example number 3, and example number 3 is a problem with an nth root because the index is greater than 2. Okay, so the problem is 4 plus the cube root of x minus 6 equals 2. So in solving this type of problem, it is just similar in solving a radical equation with an index of 2. And of course, the first step is to isolate the radical. So we are going to move positive 4 to the right side of the equation, and when we move it to the other side of the equation, then we should not forget to change the sign. So it will become cube root of x minus 6 equals 2 minus 4. That's why we have cube root of x minus 6 equals negative 2. And then after isolating the radical signs to the left side of the equation, then that's the time that we are going to raise to a given power. Since the index is 3, so we are going to raise both sides to the exponent of 3 so that we can remove the radical sign to the left. So that is cancelling now the root or the radical to the left side, so we have x minus 6, and then getting the cube of negative 2, so that is negative 8, and then again solving finally for x, so we are going to move negative 6 to the right, so it will become positive, so that is negative 8 plus 6, so therefore the answer is negative 2. So for the checking, we are going to replace the value of x to negative 2. So that is the cube root of negative 2 minus 6 equals negative 2. And then adding negative 2 negative 6, so that is negative 8 equals negative 2. And the cube root of negative 8 is equivalent to negative 2. So therefore, negative 2 is equivalent to negative 2. In example number 4, so we have here a single radicand in the given radical equation, but in the radicand we have an exponent, so it was raised to an exponent. However, the process on solving this type of problem is just similar in the way we solved in our previous lesson, and the first step is to isolate the radical. However, it is already done, so there is no need to isolate the radical. Now, how can we remove the radicand in the left side? Since the index is 3, so we're going to raise both sides into 3. So that is the cube root of the quantity x minus 2 raised to 2, then raised to 3. It is equal to 4 raised to 3. Since we already raised the left side into 3, so we can now remove the radical sign. So what is remaining in the left side is the quantity x minus 2 raised to 2. And getting now the cube of 4, I should say, so that is 64. And then to remove the square in the left side, so we are going to extract the square root on both sides so that we can remove the exponent as well. And then getting also the square root of the right side, which is 64, so that is we have the positive and negative square root of 64, and it is equal to positive 8. And then solving finally for the value of x, so we have the first value of x, that is 2 plus 8. It is equivalent to 10. And our second value of x, so that is 2 minus 8, so we have negative 6. So those are the values of x that will satisfy the given equation. The cube root of the quantity x minus 2 raised to 2 is equivalent to 4. By using the method 2, so we have the reciprocal of a power, and the first step is to isolate or write the problem in exponential form. Since our problem is the cube root of the quantity x minus 2 raised to 2 equals 4, then writing that in the exponential form, so that is equivalent to the quantity 2/3 equals 4. And to remove now the rational exponent into the left side, so we are going to do step number 2. We are going to raise both sides to the reciprocal of the power. And our power in the original problem is 2/3, and the reciprocal of that is 3/2. So we are going to raise both sides by 3/2. And then simplifying, so we have quantity x minus 2 raised to 1, and the right side is the square root of 4 raised to 3. And 4 raised to 3 is equivalent to 64. So we have this time x minus 2 equals positive negative 64. And then solving for the square root of 64, so that is positive negative 8. And finally, solving for the value of x, so we have x1, that is 2 plus 8 is equivalent to 10. And for x2, that is 2 minus negative 8. So therefore the answer is negative 6. So those are the solution of the given problem using reciprocal of a power. So nandito na tayo sa checking ng ating problem, and our equation is the cube root of x minus 2, or the quantity x minus 2 squared is equal to 4. And then by using the value of x is equal to negative 6, and then replacing it from the equation, so that is the cube root of the quantity negative 6 minus 2 squared is equal to 4, and then adding negative 6 and negative 2, so that is equivalent to negative 8 squared, and negative 8 times negative 8, that is equivalent to 64. And getting now the cube root of 64, that is equivalent to 4, and it is equal to 4. So therefore, the solution is correct. That ends our lesson for today, and this is Sir Sunny Bugawisan of Matalas Channel. And always remember, in Matalas Channel, we are making mathematics more easy. Bye-bye! See you again next time!